I'm Fanika Friend.
Hey, it's LeBron, and we're back again for Couch Conversations. I mean, do the Couch Conversation dance. Do it one more time. So today we are talking about the significance of staying committed to the commitment. You know, everybody loves, in particular, y'all, love the hoopla of a marriage.
And I had a cheap wedding.
I mean, relatively speaking, we're talking still over $10,000. So relatively speaking, it may have been cheap. However, everybody loves the idea of marriage. They love, the white dress, walking down the aisle.
My dress was pink, but yeah.
And getting the ability to say, I do. The people there to see and to take part, the reception afterwards, and all of the grandeur that comes with the marriage. Mm-hmm. And then you have to actually start living with the one that you said, I do too.
When you get off that honeymoon.
That honeymoon, sometimes you don't even make it off the honeymoon. And you have to start living with the one that you committed the rest of your life to. And so I think one of the, now you all be shocked, a lot of questions come to our inbox. People have things they want to know and want to share, but don't want to kind of put it out on public forum, so I get it. But one thing that's come to us is like, how do you stay committed to the commitment? What do you do in moments and seasons where you are ready to hang it up, but you've made a vow to stay in it with this person? How do you manage?
They said it's more like you feel like the fire's going out.
Just fire burnout. Just embers ain't even hot no more. Just
in cold over.
So start with that, Fanika. What do you do? How do you stay in it, or how do you reignite the fire once the fire has started to burn and wane out?
I mean, that's something that you typically have to be very, very intentional, especially once you started adding children.
Sure.
I think now if it's just you and them and y'all ain't got a whole bunch of kids, now I just don't even understand why that is even a question, even as it pertains to jobs and things like that. But even as it pertains to kids, that's something that you cannot use as an excuse. But for me, I like being with you. And I like being intimate with you as well. It's something that, it's something that I like. So it's not going to be something that I'm going to, shy away from. However, I think that you have to be intentional in the sense of saying, okay, if we have to say one night a week, we know it's a date night. Listen, if you have to put that junk on a calendar, listen. Until you can be intentional about, what's happening. You have to make the time. We got 24 hours in a day. You're not going to get an extra hour. You're not going to get an extra 30 minutes. So you have to figure out in those 24 hours, how am I going to fit this in? And everything is not about sex. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Something is just about intimacy, sitting together, being together, watching a movie. You know what I'm saying? Those type of things. I think those type of things keep the fire burning. I think what happens for women is if a man is not doing some of those things throughout the day, and then at nighttime, boom, you want the fireworks. For women, it just does not work like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I say for men, you have to do little gestures throughout the day. Right. And we always say what it took to get a woman, or you got to continue to do some of those things. And even in those little courtships and those little flirting pieces, I think that is still something that we continue to do. It's not something that we stopped doing, because the years are rolling around. So I think those things that keep the fire burning, it's a lot of times it's the small things. We talk about kindling. If you from the country, you done heard of kindling. Kindling is a little bit of piece of wood that got something in there. I'm talking about it can light up a whole fireplace, more than a big old oak log. Because I think it's the little pieces that we add to the fire that keeps it burning.
Sure. And for me, I think that there are places where you have to retrace where did the fire start going out. Were there pieces where we stopped communicating? Were there a space where we just got...
I think it's comfort. Busy? It's comfort.
And it very well could be something as simple as just getting comfortable. For some, it's, life happened and I ended up switching jobs, or something drastic happened within the context of family. I had a death of someone close to me, and that just kind of shut me down and shut me off. There's always different places where that can transpire. But if you can trace back where you know things first started fizzling out, you can have the ability to capture the moment of this is what snared us, so this is what we've got to do to kind of reset it. Now, for us, like this has been a season of life where we have been really blessed. It's probably our best time in our 9 years of marriage that we had. It wasn't our honeymoon period. This is a time where I feel it's been our best, but it's come out of a place of extreme intentionality.
Extreme intentionality.
Meaning that whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to be sure that I'm incorporating her in it. So it's not like me just living my own life, me doing everything that I'm supposed to do from an occupational perspective and not bringing the one who is my partner for life into the mix with that. And that intentionality has probably done more for us than anything else we could have ever done. And considering I sit across from couples, certainly before I got here, every single week talking through and dealing with these pieces of marriage, I know that the only way to get things started again is by making an intentional decision to say, we're not going to do what we've been doing and we've got to do something completely different. Now, here's the next question that I'm going to couple with that. If we're saying we're in this for better or worse till death do us part, do you think that me just not giving you enough attention is enough for you to leave me for? I mean, you better say no. You better say we're going to talk. I mean,
What I'm saying is...
You take it too long to figure out what you need to say, woman of God. I'm about to get offended.
Are you saying, man of God, after I have said over and over...
The blue hair is about to come out of this cap. I mean, I need you to be clear. In all
so
our getting.
So you're saying... Ask the question again, man of God, so I can be ready.
Is it enough because you feel like you're not getting enough time to simply say I'm done and I'm leaving?
No.
Okay, there we go. I needed that to be quick.
You felt that felt good?
Yeah, that felt better.
No.
I mean, because you're like, let me think about it. I'm like, maybe I didn't ask clear enough. All right. So, all right, now here's the part, especially when the fire is fizzling out. One thing I always say is if you have to kill your pride to get in front of somebody to have a conversation with you both that can help further where you are and to get you to a different place, let your pride die and sit down and talk with somebody.
Because it has to be two people, though.
Yep.
It has to be two people. I can't really want it, and you not really want it. So I think that's what took me a while to ask the question, you know what I'm saying, in the context. Because a lot of times what happens is one person is saying, this is what I want. The other person's like, shoot, I think it's good. Like, it's good. Let's leave it like it is. Now, in those instances, it gets very challenging when only one party is admitting to, you know what I'm saying, what's going on. And that's why I always say again, and I'm going to say it here again, if you need professional help, it is nothing to be embarrassed about. Listen, we put all this time, money, and energy into a wedding, and we sit up there and plan who gonna sit by each other in a doggone reception. But we scared to go somewhere and sit down and say how we can't even sit next to each other without want to jump on each other. You see what I'm saying? So if you need that, then that's when you have to take that pride down and say, let me get all the things that I need. Because let me tell you, it's just like parenting. It doesn't come with a manual. Right. And because no two marriages are the same, and a lot of times you will either try to be like your parents or you will be opposite of your parents, but no two marriages really are the same. So you have to do the thing that works for you all. Sure. And if counseling helps, get it. Because, you know what I'm saying? And if you got a parents, that are saying, hey, we done walk this thing out in marriage, let me sit down and let me show you, you know what I'm saying? But everybody is not blessed in that regard. But listen, if you need the help, get the help that you need. because everything can't be found in the book.
Sure.
And yes, we can say everything in the word. It is, but sometimes you still need somebody to help you process and walk those things through. Because a lot of times we didn't get, we over spiritualize stuff, and we steer the saints wrong. And that's why the saints some saints need some medicine. Because we say go in your prayer closet, and when you come out, no, you might need a little bit more. You need prayer and strategy.
Absolutely. So now, I do think that there are times in being involved and being connected in a commitment. I think that every covenant has to have a space and a place where there is an evaluation of where we are, where we're going, and how we may need to deviate off the plan that was created to get us to a different space. Probably the biggest thing I've learned is that in most marriages, people are not talking about a future because they're too busy tackling and fighting over a day-to-day experience. And so it causes the fire to burn out very quickly. Where there is no fire, there is no future. Okay, so maybe that's what you're saying. Thank you. Appreciate that. So where there is no fire, there's no future. So when the fire has burned out, all you see is smoke. All you can talk about is, well, I remember when, or you don't do this. And
That's
it
right.
creates opportunities for unnecessary arguments, frustrations, etc. I believe that when you're taking time to evaluate where you are and you're having consistent communication about how we're evolving or what needs to change or how this needs to happen differently or how we need to spend money differently or how we need to be sure we get our date night in, etc.
And just for a real practical piece, even with us, we didn't take a lot of trips. I didn't travel a lot with him like we are now, and not
you
even
were having too many babies. He was always pregnant.
Your game is weak. Okay, but I said you done made me lose my train of thought, man.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You're talking about trips.
But I said that to say that may have been in the past the things that we didn't do, and they wasn't even always a money situation. A lot of times I say, oh, no, I'm going to just go on and let you go, with the guys, da-da-da-da. And I had to start creating new norms, you know what I'm saying, for us, or stop looking in the past like, whoa, this is what we used to do, or this ain't what we did. You know what? Today is a brand new day. And I think a lot of times, even in marriages, no, we don't get a push do-over button like you push a button, you get a new husband. No, but we have to push a button and get a do-over and saying, you know what, from this day forward, we're not going to keep looking at what was, but from this day forward, we're just going to keep looking ahead, Right. And I think a lot of times that is the thing that trips people up. They remember somebody said to, a spouse said to them, and it's something that just it weighs on them. So every time the spouse try to do something right or to rectify that, all they can remember is that one thing, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, it's just something that just continues to be a mountain. And so what happens is women, because we can do that stuff, men will shut all the way down. If we continue to throw in their face something that we felt, an injustice, we'll shut them down. We'll shut them down every time. And, and sometimes we do that stuff intentionally because it's like, I want you to hurt like you hurt me. You know what I'm saying? But that stuff and I think even those things pertains to like fire and stuff, and just saying.
It puts water on it.
Yeah, it puts lots of water on it, And so just pushing that button and say, you know what, I know what was, but we're going to fight for this marriage to move forward. And what's in the past, we're going to leave it in the past. We're not going to keep bringing it up from this day forward. And I think a lot of times you have to do those things in marriages. Right. Remember why you took those vows from the first place. Get your refresher. That's why people talk about get you, where they do these marriage refreshers, get your refresher, so you'll learn how to, communicate effectively, because a lot of people just don't really know how to communicate.
And I'll say this, like, especially when Fanika and I were dealing with extremely hard times in our marriage, because she couldn't quit getting pregnant. And we were moving literally from state to state. I would take once a quarter and watch the DVD of our wedding. And I would do it not to relive a moment, but to remember the vow and the commitment that I made, so that I would not, even in a moment of frustration, give up on what I said I would do and be as a husband. And the other part of being sure that you stay committed to the commitment is remembering you weren't perfect when you got married, and neither were they. Two imperfect people. We are prone to make mistakes. And sometimes the mistakes are not made to hurt or to kill or to injure. They're made in the pureness of heart, but it's still a mistake. You can't let a mistake that's been made go uncommunicated and make it turn into a mess instead of a mistake, and something that is harder or more challenging to clean or to fix.
So let me ask you this. So what happens in the commitment when things like drugs or alcohol come into play? You know, we've dealt with that. People who, you know, one spouse can be an alcoholic, or one spouse is, addicted to pills, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I think the taboo is folks would say, shoot, if I ain't, smoking that dope and that marijuana and stuff, then I ain't on drugs, you know what I'm saying? This is something prescribed by a doctor, you know what I mean? And so we are seeing that, and it's things that people don't want to talk about, but people are inboxing us about, because it's something, you know, that can be, you know what I'm saying? It can be embarrassing, especially be a taboo, you know what I'm saying, in our culture.
Sure. Well,
what would you say to a person, or how should they fight in those instances?
Well, I think that when we make the commitment, for better or for worse, we make that commitment that supersedes all of our, fleshly resolve to like kind of get out of something. So it's not just I want out because I don't like what they said to me, or I want out because they're not making the same money that they did at one point. I think when we start talking about areas of abuse is when the opportunity to get out is available if we choose. And abuse, and I've said it before, abuse is not just infidelity. It's not just physical abuse. For me, it's verbally abusive situations, financially abusive situations, and even when we start dealing with drug abuse, even when it's something that's been prescribed. Now, I believe that there is nothing within the context and confines of marriage that God cannot restore. I've watched him do it more than once. I believe he is a God of restoration. In the midst of restoration, you also have to ask yourself, one, I know that you didn't sign up for it, because it's amazing how there are moments where you know this is not who I married,
right,
or this is not who I started with, and this just happened out of nowhere. What do I do in this instance? And I believe that those pieces come down to segments of individual judgment through prayer and through wise counsel. I think that if there is a space where God is telling you that this is a part of a test that is strengthening you and ultimately going to strengthen what he brought together, that he can stretch you and stretch even your threshold of what you thought you could handle in the midst of it. On the other side of it, I do feel that there are extreme cases where it's like, this is not going to change. No one desires for it to change. I always say we start out with separation. And in the midst of separation, we look and see what individual pieces need to be worked on while we're apart. In the midst of working on those individual pieces, we're bringing somebody else into the table for both of us to serve as a voice of reason and
not in
wise
this
counsel.
Separation don't mean that you go out and get other people.
No, not separating to go date.
That's right.
We're taking our time in a separate space and bringing in a mediator to try to speak to where we both are, so that if we can rectify or renew our commitment, we can make that happen. But without another voice to speak, we'll always lean into our perspective, which even when dealing with abuse, even dealing with drug abuse, it can be a very limited perspective. And it may just be that in the voice of wise counsel, the right voice can speak to and heal a part of what has taken the other spouse in a different direction, to cause them to awaken to the error of their ways and ultimately live delivered from it with the right help.
That's good. I agree.
So, you got any more questions on the commitment?
I was trying to think if we get any of those. I think.
So, the biggest thing is don't let the fire go completely out. Fan the flames. Let them fan, let them spread, let them.
And women, don't expect the man to be the one that always is the fire starter. Girl,
Start your fire.
start your fire.
How did Aaliyah say it? Come on, baby, light my fire.
I wasn't really a Aaliyah fan.
Oh, what? Oh, Jesus. I feel like I don't even know you.
But if you talk about some Barbara and some Shirley, you'll see what's going to happen. So, woman to woman, somebody going to be calling you about your man. You better like that fire.
That's it. We're done with commitment for today. All right, stay committed to your covenants.
Barbara, this is Shirley.
No.
The clothes he got on, I bought.
Nope, we're not doing this thing. All right. We'll see you all next couch conversation. Have a great one.